Hello and welcome to the Audacity Factor podcast. My name is Kathryn, the founder and creator here and your host, also creator of the Audacity Factor project and community on Patreon. Please join me there as well. Subscribe to my channel here and let's get going here. This is day number 8. It's August 8th, 2024. And of my 90 for 90 videos in 90 days. It's been really exciting to do. And I want to let you know that I don't prep for any of this ahead of time. I really wait for something to inspire me, and then I go ahead and talk about it. And it's usually something that someone said. Today is going to be about a comment I received on one of my videos. And it was interesting, but not unexpected. This person made mention of the dating here in the United States and how men like him have to look to Asia to find women with traditional values. And that's something that the United States has lost. And I feel like it's unfortunate that this is still what some people believe, and a lot of men in particular, but there are women as well that feel like they have this particular role that they need to play out if they're saying they're of a tradition, they have traditional values or a traditional lifestyle. And I want to explain to you the difference between values and roles, because that's really what this person was looking for. He was looking for someone who is willing to be in that traditional role of man with power over and woman as submissive. And that really stems from the desire to limit and restrict any perceived power that this woman may or may not have in this relationship that he's desiring in his head. And that's really a big part of the problem of having these roles that we expect others to play. Oftentimes we expect them of ourselves as well, because what that does is it puts us in a box, puts them in a box. But it's really that need to have this, what they feel as this, and this is, I know Doug Emhoff was talking about the toxic masculinity, and I don't really want to generalize. However, this need for power over and for women to submit as being a problem that's not being fulfilled. This man is wanting a submissive woman that he feels he can only get outside of the country, and this is what he needs to make his life the way he wants it. That it's up to someone else to fit this role for him, because it's not about values. It's not about traditional values. When we talk about values, it's literally something that we value. We value family. We value our relationships. That doesn't mean that there's some type of a power play that makes it traditional. When I think of traditional values, I think of when we're in a relationship that we support and do everything we can to help that relationship thrive, not from a place of control, not from a place of manipulation or fear or power over. It's a collaboration. If you look in the past, traditional value-driven relationships were collaborative. Sure, they maybe have their particular roles, but the value was still instilled in the relationship itself. And that could be the husband and wife, the family. But it's really the roles that I think people like this gentleman were missing and thinking it was better to have it that way and not have women be so prominently powerful, because for him, it feels like a threat. When we look at powerful relation, and I can talk about my own relationship right now. my husband and I have, and my husband is a traditional Southern man. I grew up in the Northeast and I grew up in central Pennsylvania. So I do have a bit of a hillbilly going on because I grew up in the middle of Pennsylvania where coal miners and steel workers. And I learned to shoot a gun when I was 7 from the babysitter. Now, who does that? That doesn't happen nowadays, but that's how I was raised. And then I spent most of my adult life outside of the Philadelphia area until I moved south a number of years ago. And my husband is a traditional Southern gentleman, generous and empathetic and holds the door, but he's also able to be open-minded, and he likes the fact and really thrives in the fact and the position that we are able to collaborate. We're both breathing life into this relationship that we have. And it's not about one person having control over the other person. It's not about manipulation. It's not about fear. It's not about uh, scorekeeping at all. None of that comes into play. He and I have both learned over the years and other relationships that this is the way to create a thriving relationship that's based in love and compassion and fun and true collaboration. So it's not about, and that to me is traditional values, where my husband and our relationship is value driven. We both know that the other person is just as valuable as we are, and we value the quality of our relationship and everything we can do to help it thrive. I want to be an example of a thriving relationship, not one that just looks it on the surface, that where everybody's saying, oh, everything's fine, everything's great, and then something happens. Can you believe that? We always thought they were the perfect couple. So much of the time that's not true, and I've lived that myself in the past, and I know my husband has as well. So it's not a matter of a lack of traditional values. It's a lack of, it's being able to have move out of those power over roles that this man thinks that he preferred, and maybe something he hasn't experienced, but he thinks it's going to make his life better. And that's the ideal relationship, is to have a woman that will be submissive, that he can then put limits on, control her rights, and feel like this powerful man. Well, power doesn't come from there. Strength doesn't come from there. Masculinity doesn't come from there. So it really stems from the ability to value the other person. Put the value in your relationship and knowing how to collaborate and understanding that that is a good thing. It's not a bad thing, and it's not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength. Because the more you can do that, the stronger your relationship will be. And then it creates even more possibilities, more options, ones that you would have never thought of previously. Because you're stuck in this role playing pattern, that if it's supposed to be this way, and if it's not this way, then that means it's bad, or this isn't working, or whatever it is. But when we're dishing out these roles and thinking that other people are supposed to abide by those for us to feel better about ourselves and how we think our lives are supposed to be, it's not up to someone else. And I think, really think about it. When we talk about traditional values, this is about value, what we value. We value connection. We value community. We value our families. But understand, it's not everyone. There are so many families out there that struggle because they think everyone has to have these roles, maybe meted out by the patriarch or matriarch, and people rail against that kind of thing because it's not an alignment for them. And then other people don't make it okay. But it's not up to other people to make it okay. It's up to us to make it okay with ourselves. Because once we align with ourselves and what's true and real for us, we will draw to us people that are doing the same thing. And that doesn't mean all of our thinking's the same, all of our beliefs are the same. That's not what I'm talking about. My husband is a traditional Southern conservative man. I tend to be in the middle, kind of on the more progressive side, but not hardcore. And also, he's not hardcore either, because we both like to live in what's real and true for us. And even when we have, on the occasion we have a little bit of discourse from different sides, it's an art to be able to actually listen and engage, not from a defensive standpoint. So, all of this to say that, really think about when you're saying something like, there are no women in the US that have these traditional values, which is what I believe in. And I believe I have to look outside of the United States to Asia to look for these women who have these traditional values. It's not about traditional values. It's about the roles that he thinks are the right way to do things, so that his life can thrive. And that means a submissive woman, who I obviously don't represent here on the Audacity Factor, which is probably how I got tagged, but that's okay, because I'm willing to have a conversation about what that actually at least meant to me, how I took it. And this person was not seemingly aggressive or anything. He was just really throwing it out there. And I consider that courageous, because that's really what it's about here on the Audacity Factor. It's about being courageous. Now, that does not stem from aggression or cruelty or division or anything like that. But when someone puts I considered it an honest and open statement, no matter how kind of misguided. And I feel badly for him that that's what he thinks is the answer to how he's feeling in his life. Because it really starts with him, and recognizing openly what he actually values in his life. So I invite him to do that, and the rest of you as well. So when you speak traditional values, what is it that you're actually talking about when you say that? Recognize, are you actually speaking of traditional roles of the power over scenario? Okay. Day 8, it is raining like crazy here in South Carolina. The edge, I guess, of the past hurricane. But it's a nice, cozy day. I'm here with the dogs. I'm actually painting. Many of you know I'm an artist as well. So you can check out my Etsy store as well. There are several things in there right now, and I will be adding more. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and join me on Patreon, even for my free membership, because there's all kinds of fun stuff in there for you to take a look at. And then you can decide further if you'd like to get further involved in the community, what I'm considering like a village, because you know what? It takes a village. And you can also join at the patron level, because all villages need patrons as well. So I will see you all tomorrow here on the Audacity Factor.